You've had the idea. You know the one. You're lying in bed or in the shower or halfway through a shift you don't love, and it arrives fully formed. The thing, the product, the app, the store, the hustle that finally gets you out. For a few minutes, you can see the whole future. You can feel the money. And then a quieter voice asks the obvious question: what if it doesn't work? You already know the answer because you've watched it happen. To your cousin, to that guy from school, to yourself maybe, once. Someone chases the big shining thing, pours in everything, and comes back empty. The gold was real. They just weren't the one who got it. So here's the question nobody frames properly. In a room full of people all reaching for the same gold, who actually walks out rich? It's almost never who you'd guess. And once you see why, you can't unsee it. Go back to January 1848. A man finds flakes of gold at a sawmill on the American River in California. What happens next is the largest voluntary migration the country had ever seen. 300,000 people. 1 out of every 90 Americans alive at the time dropped their entire life and moved toward a river most of them couldn't find on a map. They sold farms. They left families. They crossed oceans and deserts to stand knee-deep in freezing water, swirling a pan, betting their whole future on the shine. Now, picture that crowd. Picture the sheer want in it. And then meet a man named Samuel Brannan. Brannan ran a small store near the discovery site, and he was one of the first outsiders to learn the gold was real. He could have grabbed a pan and run for the river like everyone else. Instead, he did something that sounds insane until it doesn't. He went quiet. And in the short window before the news broke wide, he bought every pick, every shovel, and every pan he could get his hands on across the region. Cornered the whole supply. Then, and only then, he ran through the streets of San Francisco holding a vial of gold over his head, shouting that there was gold on the American River. He didn't start the rush by accident. He started it on purpose, the week after he'd bought all the tools the rush would need. A metal pan he'd paid about 20 cents for, he sold to a desperate miner for $15. Do that math for a second. That's not a markup. That's a different universe of markup. In 9 weeks from a single store, he made the equivalent of well over $1 million in today's money. On some days, he was pulling in the equivalent of $150,000 daily. Samuel Brannan never dug for gold. Not once. He became the first millionaire of the entire California gold rush by selling the one thing every single gold seeker needed before they could even begin. He sold the shovels. But here's where it gets stranger, because you might be thinking this is just a story about one clever crook who cornered a market. It isn't. It's a pattern, and once you have the pattern, it's everywhere. Look at the same rush again. Who else walked out rich? A man named Levi Strauss showed up not with a pan, but with sturdy cloth, and started selling hard-wearing trousers to miners whose clothes fell apart in the rivers. He wasn't betting on gold. He was betting on the people betting on gold. That company still exists. You're probably wearing its idea right now. The men who got rich weren't in the water. They were selling to the water. And this is the part they don't teach you, so slow down here. The miner and the shovel seller are playing two completely different games, even though they're standing in the same place. The miner's outcome is binary. Strike gold or go home broke. His success depends on a thing he cannot control. What's actually in the dirt? Thousands of miners can fail in the same river on the same day. The shovel seller doesn't care which miner strikes gold. He doesn't need any particular one of them to win. He just needs them to keep digging. He gets paid on the activity, not the outcome. His customer isn't the gold. His customer is the hope. Every single person in that river was a customer, and most of them didn't know it. Now bring it forward, because the rivers changed, but the pattern didn't. The people selling shovels today just sell different shovels. When everyone rushed to build websites, the fortunes weren't mostly in the websites. They were in the companies selling hosting, domains, and the boring pipes underneath. When everyone rushed to sell things online, a huge share of the money flowed to the platform taking a cut of every sale, and to the company shipping the boxes. When everyone rushed to get rich trading crypto, the most reliable profits weren't in the coins that swung wildly up and down. They were in the exchanges, taking a small, certain fee on every trade, whether the trader won or lost. And right now, while everyone races to strike gold with artificial intelligence, look where the surest money is landing. Not only in the flashy apps that might win or might vanish, It's landing with the company selling the computer chips that every single one of them has to buy to even compete. That company became one of the most valuable on earth without winning the race at all. It just sold the shovels to everyone running it. Here's the twist. You've been taught your whole life to go find the gold, to have the big idea, take the big swing, chase the big shining thing. That's the story. That's the dream they sell you. But the person who sells the shovel is quietly running a better business than almost any miner in the river. Because he removed the one thing that destroys most people who try to get rich. He removed the gamble. The shovel seller doesn't need to be right about which idea wins. He only needs to be right that people will keep trying. And people always keep trying. That's the one bet in the whole gold rush that never loses. The safest way to profit from a gold rush is to not go looking for gold. So the next time you feel that pull toward the shining thing, and you will, try running the question sideways instead of forward. Don't only ask, can I find the gold? Ask, what does everyone chasing this gold need that I could be the one to hand them? That's not a smaller dream. It's usually the bigger one. If you like taking the things you were told to want and turning them over to see what's underneath, subscribe. That's this whole channel. That's the shovel we're selling. So, that idea you have, the one that shows up in the shower, keep it. It might be gold. But notice how the moment you imagine it, you also imagine the risk, the maybe, the what if it fails. That feeling isn't weakness. That's